Joining us now is Dan Muncy, San Bernardino County Fire Chief. These fires are not happening in San Bernardino, to my best knowledge, but we'll find out. Fire Chief Muncy welcomes the program. Mr. Muncy, do you have fires right now in San Bernardino, or are you mostly controlled?
Thank you, Charlie. Hey, I'm sorry you don't have any partners right now, but I'll see if I can fill that gap. We've been doing pretty well in San Bernardino County. Our firefighters are keeping the fires small. We've had about half the wind speeds, I think, we've seen in LA. And we were blessed a couple of days ago to start getting a little snow on our upper elevations. All that's been real helpful with keeping our fires small. We have sent quite a few resources over to LA County and LA City. Our hearts are just with our brothers and sisters over there. They got a tough job with what they're facing. This kind of devastation in 29 years, I'd love to say it's unheard of, but it just seems like it's becoming more and more commonplace. Over the last 20 years, the fires have just increased in magnitude and frequency. I think it's double what it was when I first started. It's a shame, and it's not lack of effort by these firefighters. They are the acts of bravery that we've witnessed, that we've heard the stories from, talking to the fire chiefs in this area. They are fully committed and engaged, and definitely have saved, while it doesn't seem like it, they've saved billions of dollars of property and saved countless human lives. And I think that's going to be the true testament as we walk away from this. Is what can we do different as we move in the future? What could we have done differently in the heat of the moment? But at the same time, recognizing the efforts of the men and women that truly put their lives on the line. One story, for instance, I was talking to one of our strike team leaders that's over in the Palisades. And at the time I talked to him, he said he hadn't slept in 36 hours. And his crews were still actively fighting fire. That's what our firefighters are facing year round. It's not just the fire season anymore. It's January. This is a new year. This is not supposed to happen, but this is a reality that we face.
So explain to me as a layman how it's possible that fire hydrants don't have water and that there's a lack of water to fight fires. Help me understand that.
As a layman, I live in a small house. If I take a shower before my wife and I go too long, she doesn't have hot water. Why? It's because you only have so much water in tanks, and a hot water heater needs to heat up, right? The same thing is occurring here. So you have more and more firefighters taking water in the system. Look at that fire. I mean, you need hundreds of thousands of gallons a minute to be able to combat something like this. You essentially have more water flowing out of the system than what's flowing into the system. Number one, you deplete your reservoirs. The second is our water systems in our urban areas, especially in what we're showing on the video right now. They're not gravity fed. They're often fed by pumps. These pumps could be supplying tanks that are on hills that are gravity fed, but often it's used to pump the pressure. So when you see these kind of trees that are on fire in these houses, you can imagine utilities are also affected. You lose power to your pumps, and now you have less pressure. Finally, look at this house that's burning down. What you're going to find when these houses are done burning is that the water's just running out of this house until you go turn the water meter off. So you have so much water that's being wasted as well. It's with this kind of devastation on this kind of scale, it's absolutely predictable that your water system's just not going to be able to maintain the fire flow that's required. Fire flow is just never designed for this. And I would go further and say it's not really even feasible to examine, how do you increase the pressure? How do you increase the diameter of the pipes? We're talking billions of dollars in infrastructure that would be required for this. Now, the state of California did a good thing. They sent a lot of water tenders into the fire. But let's talk a little about that. A water tender is a truck that's going to carry 2,500 gallons or larger is what the state requested. They're going to have to go find a water hydrant that has water and then drive back and supply these fire trucks. And then they're going to turn around again and they're going to go find water. At times, they might find a static water source like a pool or a lake, generally fresh water, and they'll draw water from that. But it's very time consuming. So one of the best things we can start doing is restoring the water system. Utilities as a whole is going to be very impactful in these particular areas until they're able to do that.
So help me understand, wouldn't part of the problem based on what you're describing is a water supply? And so just capturing more water from rainfall would definitionally then help the supply, and you would have a surplus. There's billions of tons of water that very well could be captured from rainfall that they let go into the ocean, right?
Yeah, storm drainage. I'm not a water manager. I spent a couple of years elected in a water district. I think you're right. There is a lot of water that we allow to return to the sea, and there's a wide variety of reasons of why that's occurring. Having that water that's available that we can use for firefighting is always going to be beneficial. But in reality, too, I'm going to go back to the scale of this fire. You can only put so much water on the fire. There's only so many firefighters. Having an uninterrupted supply of water isn't going to stop this fire. It may save more structures, definitely. It may save human lives, definitely. But we're talking about an absolute natural disaster. We're talking about high wind speeds. We're talking about ember casts. There was a video earlier of embers just being blown by the wind. Those embers are traveling at times up to 2 miles. They're catching vegetation on fire. They're getting up underneath the eaves of houses. They're starting spot fires. As a firefighter, you're chasing the fire at this point. You're not making a defensive stand and stopping the fire with any kind of control breaks.